That's what I call down to the wire. Like I literally just hit make public on this video. I've been working on this video most of the day today. So I got it done at the last possible minute. Like I hit public just as we hit go live. So what's up, guys, gals, ladies, gentlemen, everybody? I forgot to bring the sign over here, but we're at 45 days on the countdown, by the way. And after the live, if you're not sleepy, we haven't put you to sleep, feel free to go check out the video that I just dropped on the system of jigs that I have built for the Lumos, which I'm not going to lie, I basically took the F1 jig system and moved it over to make it compatible with the Lumos, and then took the files and brought them over into the Make It software. So I really didn't make anything new. I just kind of edited what I already had, but it saves you guys from having to do it. And I also, while I was at it, basically made it into a fiber laser jig kit also by creating an adapter that works with the 25 by 25s. So there's that. So it's been a very busy day here today, and my printer hadn't been used for a while. And so I had a bit of a oops on the 3D printer earlier today. So I had to go in there with some alcohol and a microfiber cloth and really give my print bed cleaning. But other than that, I've been out here working all day long. Steve, what have you been up to? I hear you got a little bit of weather up there.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll be safe in your shop.
Well, if it goes dark. No, right now we're okay, but yeah, this weekend it's been adventurous. I dealt with 3 different power issues yesterday. First one, waking up and our campus that's about an hour away was without power, which it wasn't anything going on. There shouldn't have been anyone in the building, but we don't have generator backup. We have UPSs that give us about enough time to get in and see if it's a short blip and then shut things down. So we were dealing with that, and then in the middle of waiting to hear from the power company what's going on and ETAs and checking on things and whatnot, my power goes out at home. And that was a number of hours. The college power came back up while I still was out power, and luckily we didn't have to drive over to kick anything. It all came back online, and we were able to get it done remotely. And then my kid had to go to work in the morning, and of course he was driving there in the rain and whatnot, and apparently left the lights on the car. So when he got out of work, he's like, "Hey, car won't start." So I had to go jump his car, bring it back. Of course, as I'm getting ready to go, the power comes back on at home, which is great, except for it's been off for, oh gosh, it was like 6 hours or so. So yeah, he got his car back and put it on the charger and all that stuff. So I went live Friday, kind of doing the initial previews of this little Sculpt Fun iCube Ultra, planning on the bulk of yesterday being able to run tests, and the bulk of yesterday was shot for me. So
sitting outside,
I'm still running tests. Yeah, I'm still running tests, and I may sneak more of those in as we're talking tonight. But yeah, it may start raining here again in an hour or two. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been warm, it's been humid, it's been wet. I'm ready for fall, but yeah.
Cool. Well, what's up, Cody? I'm not sure. I think what he means is I can't hang tonight. So, because if not, this is a contradiction. So, but
he's actually a guest on another show tonight.
Another show.
He can't. He's doing that right now.
On a Sunday night at 7? What?
Yep. It's some other creator one. I don't remember, but yeah, he had popped in to say hi.
Roger. Well, y'all know what I've been dealing with too this week, by the way. That thing right there. That has been it's been fun. It's been, I love new innovative things. And as far as innovation goes, I'm seeing things with this machine I've never seen with other machines before. The Even some of the CO2s, because we've both talked about the difference between a chiller and a radiator, because a lot of people will sell a chiller as a radiator, which basically just means the coldest it can get down to is the ambient room temperature, because it's basically just a circulating water and then cooling it with a fan. Well, this thing actually has and I ain't figured out exactly how it works, but it actually has like a little refrigerator type uh, deal inside it, and I was a little shocked to find that out, because I reached in there when I was messing around, because of course FedEx like used it for a football, and so I've been having to mess with it as far as that goes, and so I was having to reach around inside there and try to fix things, and I realized that this the coils in there were like cold, not like cool, but cold, and so I grabbed my my little thermal camera out, and sure enough, the module, the hoses, and all the stuff that go to it are actually cooler. Like it actually refrigerates it basically, so you can see all the cooling lines and everything on the thermal camera there. But it refrigerates down to like the coils on the little refrigeration part. We're reading temperatures around 60 to 62 degrees, which I thought was kind of cool, because I never saw a machine do that. You can see right there. That's the tank where the water goes right there, and then that's like the little refrigeration part of it, and then behind there, where you see the hotter area, that's actually the exhaust. Uh, like it's basically just like massive heat sinks back there. So that's where all the heat gets discharged. But yeah, it's pretty neat. Never saw that in a CO2, and didn't expect to see it in a diode. So it's it's definitely different.
What do you mean you haven't seen that in a CO2?
Like none of the CO2s that I've had actually have like compressors in them that cool.
Oh,
Like they all just have the radiators.
oh, okay. I mean, because it's pretty common in them. It's just some of them cheap out.
Well, yeah, but the chillers that I've had from Monport, because I've only had I've got the Omtech, I've got the X Tool, I've had the Hurricane. All of the machines that I've had, none of them, as far as I know, had any active cooling. They were all just basically radiators. And then even the Monport, was it the CH5000 or whatever it was I had? It was just basically a glorified radiator.
Ever been a 3000? The
3000.
5000, the 5200 are the chilled
They
ones.
actually had the chillers in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was interesting. So uh, after I got all the stuff fixed that had gotten knocked loose or busted from being punted around, I've got it working. But it works too well for me to run it right now without any exhaust, because it definitely creates an environment in the shop that you don't want to be in after just a few minutes of running. You can see in that picture right there, it had the place smoked up pretty good. So I've got some 4-inch tubing coming, and once I get enough to where I can tie it into an exhaust fan somewhere, we're going to resume testing. But I've been avoiding testing it because I don't want to open the door and let that 95-degree air in here either. So I'm just kind of holding off until I get that hose in right now. But yeah, it's been pretty cool. I will say this though, a little bit of a teaser on this part. The CNC part, I'm not impressed with. They need to stick with the laser. So far, that's the only major issue I have. Is I think it was a bit of a reach to think that this thing was going to be capable of being a CNC. Laser, okay. CNC, not so much.
Yeah, I can understand. I'm not a fan of mixed machines at all. At most, I can understand when you might throw a module on a CNC because you occasionally want to do a small engraving. The problem is if it's made rigid with torque for CNC, you're generally
slow.
Yeah, you're giving up acceleration. You're giving up, your top speed. So it's going to be slower. So it's just, they mixed machines. There's all sorts of other issues with it. I mean, the spoil board and the vapors and the burn through on the laser onto your CNC board. just, I don't know. I get it if you have a small shop, small space, and everything needs to be compact or combined. But if you have a way to have specific machines for those purposes, I think it's the way to go. So,
yeah.
But
I will say, I will say it. Like I said, it is neat. I long term, it can't live where it lives because I purged all of my stove covers and got all of my woodworking projects done, so that I could basically sacrifice my other table for a little while. But I can't leave it like this for long because I have customers that have orders coming in that have to be done. So I've told ASMR we've got to hurry up and work through this in the next couple of weeks. I can't have it sitting there for the next 6 months because it's in the way. I think me and Klein came over today. We took some measurements. He went home and took some measurements. I think he has enough room in his garage that he's going to be able to move some stuff around because he wants to keep it over there at his place. I think we're going to be able to make that work the way he talks, but he's supposed to let me know something. He came over today and looked at it. We went through the measurements and what all it's going to take to get him a spot because he has a little extra room that he's not using right now, and he doesn't do because he's in his basement, so he doesn't do a lot of like real sandy like where you have sawdust and stuff like that. He doesn't do a lot of that in his basement, and so he's like he's got a CNC over there that he doesn't use, so. We're gonna see what we can do because there is no room in the shack like that. That is basically my only area I have for table saw, router table. My joiners on the other side over there.
Perimeter.
It can't stay there, not long term.
well, and that's I mean, that's where I really wonder what's the market for that style of laser. I mean, there's been lasers that big for a while, but they've been CO2, they've been cabinet, they've been enclosed. This one, it's flat, it's enclosed with that roller door, but then you got
the bottom.
I kind of chuckle because I think you mentioned there's a 4-inch fan on it.
There's 2 4-inch fans. You got one blowing in,
well,
and one
right.
blowing in.
But effectively, you got one 4-inch fan pulling air out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like on these. I mean, we complain about the smaller lasers having a 3-inch fan, and now you got a big ass box with a tiny fan. I mean, most smaller CO2 lasers have a 6-inch port on them. So
yeah, that's the. But I mean, that generates a lot of smoke really fast. When you're cutting 3/4 of an inch of material at 6 millimeters a second, man, it looks like there's a train inside there. It is just rolling smoke. So it is definitely going to be interesting. I'm like you. I'm thinking that maybe with an assist fan pulling out, maybe it moves enough air through there to keep it okay. But it's yet to be seen. Now, I will say this is probably one of the strongest air assists I've ever seen on a machine. It does a really good job. I was shocked with that. I don't know what kind of compressor is in there. I haven't taken it apart to look, but the air assist does a really good job. Like I think the compressor in there for the air is like you could probably air up a tire with it. Like it's pretty good.
Well, there was another thing I was working on this week because it's one of those things you can kind of work on the side.
What's that?
And so this is thanks to Brian, but there's those chunkables.
You don't got hooked on those things.
So I had to print out the Chewbacca and then, of course, the Michael Scott, complete with World's Best Boss mug. And Luigi is finishing up as we speak. Well, I have one more color to print. And yeah, they're addictive. And the problem is, all that filament, all those colors get expensive. But I did post this on my YouTube community page as well as Facebook, and I've been testing this stuff. So this Pan Chroma from Polymaker, they've got it at like 40 to 50% off on a lot of these colors right now through Amazon.
Yeah.
And so I did order a number of them, and that's actually like this. This is the Army Blue, and that's printed on the P1S. They do have a profile you can download and import into the bamboo slicer.
Huh.
But yeah, that anyone that's looking for filament, I'll drop a link here. It's pretty cheap if you're wanting to stock up on some colors. And I've only been testing on the bamboo machines right now, but it's working really well through them. So
yeah.
So that's I've been part of it is I got some people at work that want them, and Carla wants a couple too. So
You just want to set them around your office. Don't lie.
It's well, no, I mean I'm printing some out for me too, but
you like a little.
But every time I do that, then other people want more.
And all these different characters, and just set them around your office. You can just stage. You can stage like little battles in your windowsill.
So yeah, it's been kind of fun playing with those and playing with the printers. The nice thing on these is that you print all the colors individually. You don't need an AMS, and then they all fit together without glue. There's a couple of them that printed a little bit loose that I might glue in, but some of that was using both PETG and PLA as well as two different printers. So it's a little bit to be expected there, but yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of fire off the job and let it run for, in some cases, 3 or 4 hours, depending on the number of parts.
Tim said every video Steve does, said I guess he's saying I'm over your shoulder, it seems, but that goes both ways. I have Steve on a stand over there. Also, he usually makes at least a little bit of a debut into every video. It's kind of like an Easter egg type thing. So Brian said I should open the overhead door and pretend I'm you with no mini split.
There you go.
I'm telling you, if I knew what I'm doing with the building now, I don't know that I'd have spent as much money on a 16-foot door knowing that I was never going to open it anymore. I'd have been fine with an 8 or 10 footer.
Yeah.
But when I put it in, I didn't have any air conditioning in it, and I basically opened it up to just open up the whole front of the building and then blow fans through here. So yeah. Well, Radu, I had thought about trying to do something like that, but the only wall that I have that I could put it on is over there by my CNC, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a lot bigger than I had thought it was going to be. Like I had expected it to be, maybe like 8 or 10 inches from bottom to top, and it's like 1.5 feet. Like it is. I didn't. The photos and the videos online don't do it justice for how big this thing is. It actually is pretty heavy, and it doesn't even have a floor in it yet, because either you need to build the table big enough to sit it on, and then line it with metal or whatever. But the problem I got now is it's cutting my honeycomb. So I'm going to have to come up with a blade bed.
Because that didn't come with that one.
Yeah. So it cut slices in my honeycomb today. So, I mean, like this not one of those where, you can tell where the laser went. Like it literally cut holes in my honeycomb. So I've got to come up with something on that. In the videos that they're publishing, it looks like they've made like their own little metal floor for it, but it doesn't come with that. So that's my problem right now is I can't cut anything too big because I don't have metal underneath it. And so we're gonna have to work on that and see how that goes. But the 70 watt that I've got, it'll mark the honeycomb like little tiny divots out of it. But let me get a picture of it. But this 120 watt, it will do damage to it.
Yeah, Brian, there's some of the vehicles, and I did see the little cart for Luigi, so I may have to add those to the print list.
Yeah, so see, there's it's legit like cutting honeycomb. So yeah, there's several places. I didn't notice it at first, but then I got to look at it and I'm like, wait a minute, this is a problem. And that's that daddy wheels or whatever honeycomb. So it's a metal. It's not aluminum. It's actually a steel honeycomb.
Anyway.
Yeah, Brian, again, with this machine being as big as it is, being square is kind of a big deal because it's they try to keep it light without it being too heavy, but yet it needs to remain square for it to be completely accurate. And I just don't know how to make it sturdy enough to be square, have metal floor, have metal in the bottom of it, and all these things, and still feel comfortable hanging it from the ceiling of my little shack here. I don't. It's gonna get tremendously heavy as I approach some of these things that need to be done to it.
Well, and also, if a tool isn't convenient to use,
you're never going to use it.
You find ways to work around it. And I find that often, when things get too cluttered in here, I walk out here and I'm like, because I now I got to move this, got to move that, and you don't get things done. So yeah, having to, even my planer on a cart back there, the fact that I got to roll it out, flip it up, attach the hose, put an extension cord, all that stuff. It's just like, do I really want to run 1 or 2 boards on that? So yeah, it's push come to shove. It's a way to make it work, but also it tends to deter you from using the tool. The more you have to tear it down, set it up, and things like that. So
yeah, it's like I said, we're going to work through it. It's not something that, and I told Asmer when they asked me about it, because I was like, look, I do not have the room in my shop to dedicate to this machine long term. I would be willing to look at it, and I will try to come up with a way to where if y'all need me to do another video, I can have access to the machine. But as far as it staying in my shop, that's not an option right now. And they knew that getting into it. And so that's why I said, in a perfect world, if Klein can work it into his basement, he has some projects that he wants to do. He's a history teacher. He wants to do these big, U.S. maps that you can't do on a standard size machine without making the states like little tiny states. And so that's a project that he wants to do. And so if we can make it work, then that's great. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, because you can't just pick this up and hang it on the wall. Like just like it sits, it probably weighs 200 pounds. So and as you add like floor to it, metal cutting surface, all those things, it's going to get heavier. So we'll see how it goes. Dewey's saying that the motherboard of my out-of-stack A70 Max died, and they sent me a new one. It cuts now, but the y-axis is off. If I cut a 177 millimeter circle, the height was 133, making it an oval. Any thoughts on what's up? Assuming you say they sent you a new motherboard, maybe the steps are off on the motherboard. You can calibrate the steps and reset the controller, but you would think if it was for A70 Max, they sent you an A70 Max, you would think they would have already done that. So I would check for some mechanical, but first of all, check and make sure it's consistent. Like do that circle as a just a line, and do it 4 or 5 times and make sure the machine is consistent. If it is consistent time after time, then more than likely it is going to be a software issue. But if you find that it's not consistent, then more than likely you've got something slipping, you got something moving. My bet would be that it's more than likely going to be a mechanical issue before I would say it was going to be a software issue. But you'll know if you try to make that circle, like if you send the machine out to do that circle and then come back, send it out, come back, send it out, come back like 3 times. If it's mechanical, it will not be in the same spot every time. It'll be way off. My guess would probably be like a timing rod is loose, or either a gear on a stepper maybe has a set screw that's loose or something like that, or backed off. What do you think, Steve? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I would look mechanical first. And I'm just trying to think back with the A70 when I was setting it up. Kind of feel like, now how tight are your belts on yours? Because there's some that like to be really tight, but others that don't, and that was
the A70 is the one that doesn't really like them tight.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that was the case where make sure they're not over tightened, because that can cause some variation as well.
And up here in the front of the machine, right here where the stepper is, right here, where these two rods with the gears on the ends of them, where they connect to that stepper, there's grub screws in here that hold that rod tight. And if either one or the other of those gets loose, you're going to lose steps on your Y-axis. So I would check and make sure those are tight, especially. See, you're saying that the Y-axis is off, so this would be the first thing that I would check. Would be right here where these little timing bars are, because you got the stepper in the middle, and then you got these two bars on either side that transfer the rotation out to the belts, and then you've got these gears on the end of the belts. The gears on the end of the belts also have grub screws that could be loose, so I would check all the connection points between the belt and the stepper to make sure everything's tight. So that's what I would do, because I really doubt they sent you a motherboard, a main board that was off. I think it very likely that something's just loose. Yeah, Travis, it is very huge. They tried to get me to take the 8-foot one, and I was like, no, I can't even get that in my shop. And so they're like, well, we're going to send you the 4-foot by 4-foot. Had I known they had like a 3x3 or 2x2 or whatever, I probably would have told them just send me that one. But they didn't. At the time, there was no information out about it. They sent me an email months ago about this thing. And according to my representative, there are currently only 2 of them on the planet outside of their factory. And I have 1 of them. So according to my contact, like I said, I can't verify that, but that's what I was told, because I was asking about getting parts to replace the parts that got damaged by FedEx. And they're like, we're just going into Kickstarter. There's only 2 of them on the planet and you got 1. So they're like, we can get you the parts, but it's going to be 10 to 12 days, because basically they're having to make the parts and then like speed ship them or whatever. So I managed to, with some engineering, some 3D printers, some glue, some 3M duct tape, some of the best duct tape on the planet, might I add. I've been able to twist things and pull them and get them back to where it works. It is a prototype. I have already noticed in their videos that they're showing, they've already changed some of the things that I've been fussing about with this thing. The hoses on mine come out to the side of the module, but the one that they're showing in the videos, it comes out the top. So, because that was one of the things, is the hoses are bumping against the side rails as I home it. And that was on my list of things to tell them they needed to change. And then I saw some of their promotional videos, and the promotional videos are showing the hoses coming out the top, which is what I was going to recommend, that they reroute those hoses to get them out of the way. So it is a prototype. I don't know how much is going to change between now and the time they launch it, but there's some good things about it, and there's some things that need improvements. But it hasn't even went to Kickstarter yet. Like, I think they just started the Kickstart, so there will be some changes, I'm sure, because I'm giving them feedback as I see things that need to be fixed as well. Kind of like me and you talked about with the fan. As soon as I can see how well this fan works, there'll probably be a recommendation on that too.
Yeah, well, it's just one 4-inch fan on that thing is not gonna cut it.
I have a hard time believing it's going to move enough air as well, especially with it coming in just as a single column like that. Because it's not like spreading it out across.
You're going to get a stream down the middle, and all the smoke's just going to kind of vortex out the sides. It's going to capture some of it, but
yeah, we'll see. Like I said,
I mean, it was me. If I was building that one to keep it, I'd be building a bed, and I'd be building a downdraft exhaust for it.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, it's like I said, we'll see, because clients that hit me up, he's like, oh, well, I'm gonna need you to help me build the table and engineer everything. I'm like, okay, sure. And he's like, oh, you're gonna need to bring some tools to build the table, because I'm not really set up for that. So
yeah.
So we'll see. Like I said, I've got some testing to do, and if it doesn't, like if I wouldn't run it, I'm not going to recommend client keep it or whatever, but there again, like I said, it is a prototype. There are going to be some changes, I'm sure. So I'm trying to cut them some slack on that. So far, they've been very receptive, and like I don't even know if they're still sending me the water chiller or not, because there was the pump was inside the tank, which the tank is clear so you can see inside it, but apparently when FedEx threw the thing down, the little rubber straps that held the pump still, one of them popped off and let the pump rotate, and it pulled the hose loose from the exhaust coming out of the pump, and so it was a sealed tank. And I'm like, I can't get in there, but I wound up cutting a hole in the tank so I could reach in there, and then I cut me some acrylic on the CO2 laser and patched the tank. And so I got it fixed, but it was because it got dropped on its head and it busted the display off of the cooler and knocked that pump sideways. But I took it apart. I managed to get it fixed because it was going to be, I think they said 12 days before they could get me another chiller. And I'm like, let me see if I can fix this, because it's taking up space.
Well, hopefully they consider putting an access panel on there, because
that's what I thought.
Pumps are they do fail. And
yeah, that was one of the things. I've got some pictures and I've got an email drafted up to where basically I'm going to recommend that they take at least an access port big enough to get your fingers and screwdriver in there to change the pump out. Because had I had that, it would have made what took me a couple of hours, it would have made it like a 10-minute job. Because everything snapped together inside there, the plumbing and everything. It was just getting to it. I had to take an oscillating saw and cut through some, was it like 1/4-inch thick acrylic and cut a hole and try to keep it clean enough to where I could reseal it. And I also had to try to make sure to keep as much of the particulate matter out of the tank so that it didn't get circulated through the system. And then, of course, I had to take it outside after it was over with and flush the system and get all the little pieces of sawdust out of it. And it was just, it would have been much easier had they gave me a little hatch to open up with a good, nice little rubber gasket or something, you know?
Yep.
But we'll see. But it is interesting so far.
Zentenro, I'll get it right. I was asking, how does a 40-watt diode laser handle cutting hardwood up to 1/2 inch thick? Poplar, basswood, sure. Getting into oak and hard maple,
several passes.
It's gonna be hit or miss, and possibly not worth it. So there's a wide range of hardwood, and sometimes you can look at those, the paint grade softwoods and such to possibly make up what you need. But yeah, it's likely not going to be a single pass kind of operation, unless you like sitting there with a fire extinguisher or a spritzer. So, it's multiple passes, unless I've been able to do it on, I think I still end up with a couple passes on like aspen and poplar.
It's going to depend.
Anything hardwood is definitely going to be multiple.
Yeah, it's going to depend too on the grain of the wood. The more knots and the tighter the grain, the harder it's going to be to cut. The grain of natural woods makes a huge difference, especially like you said with oaks and maple. That grain is going to be what you may be cutting the sapwood, but when you get across that grain, it's going to leave little spots that's not going to cut through. So a 40-watt can do, I would say, up to a 1/4 inch single pass, like for oak, black walnut, maple. It wouldn't be a problem, but you start talking 1/2 inch, it's going to be highly dependent on the grain. You're going to need to make sure you run plenty of air assist and probably get as much of a cheat down on your focus as you can. Ideally, you'd want to cheat down a 1/4 inch, but a lot of machines you can't, because the focal range is just not good enough for that. Melissa says apparently her X-Tool machine got tossed. Oh, yeah. Sometimes I don't know. Like I said, I can't say for sure that it was all FedEx, because this package did come all the way from China. It had some, was it Korean Airlines stickers on it as well. So it could have been any one of the above that bounced it like it did. But by the time it got to me, the box was barely hanging on. Like, it was in bad shape. Like some of the parts were hanging out of the box. So
yeah, I mean, luckily here, my FedEx guy is pretty consistent, and I've met him at the door a number of times, and so he's generally pretty good with my stuff. Ah, crap. Sirens are going off.
Uh-oh. So do you have the basement shop ready to receive you in the event that you have
I might need to jump down there
in case you need to swap over?
But yeah, I was gonna say FedEx, UPS is generally really good. FedEx is okay, but they probably are I think I get more abused packages from them. So, but yeah, I'm gonna check with the family and I will be right back.
All right. Well, y'all, let's hope Steve doesn't get blown away. If he does, I will. If I start seeing his shop being blown to bits, I'm going to go ahead and throw his camera back online so we can witness that and record it just for insurance purposes. But hopefully he won't. Hopefully he won't have no problem with the weather. I know it gets a little hairy here sometimes. So we're going to just get to some questions while Steve is going to check on everybody. Question: where do you get boxes for shipping large things like your stove covers? Have you ever cut sheet, cardboard, stock to make your own custom boxes? Dennis, first of all, I try not to ship anything. I don't ship stove covers. I deliver only. I only do that locally because it is something big. I've only shipped a few things from my shop because especially working a full-time job, shipping's not something I want to get to doing all the time. I have made a few, custom Christmas ornaments or little small things. Typically with those, I go to the U.S. Postal Service and I get the little flat rate packs, either the padded envelopes. Sometimes the padded envelopes work good for ornaments and stuff that's okay being pressed because I think they do run them like through a conveyor, whatever. So as long as it's something that can be pressed in the bubble wrap, it's okay. I have used a lot of the boxes that they have. They have like the 12-inch, 8-inch, 6-inch, whatever boxes. I used some of those before for smaller things as well. Anything other than that, like I do ship out lasers to you guys when we have drawings or giveaways or whatever. I'll ship out lasers and stuff. But typically with those are only going to be machines that were I was able to keep the boxes that they came in and was able to take them apart, put them back in the box, and then ship them out. And that's why a lot of times when you hear me say that, some machines I can't really ship them to anybody because the packaging is either damaged or the assembly is just so complex that I don't want to take it apart and put it back in a box. So a lot of times, like a lot of my giveaways will end up being like in-person giveaways. Like we've got an event coming up October the 24th. I will be retired and participating in a meet and greet here in Chilton County, Alabama with my friend May, folks Jason over at Cog Hill, a lot of other folks from my area that you may or may not know of. We're all going to be doing a meet and greet at May's event. And I'm going to go through this shop and any machines that I need to get rid of that I can't ship out, I'm going to take them with me to the event. We're going to have a little sign-up form a few days prior to the event. We'll have a sign-up form, and you can sign up for the drawing. And the next day at that meet and greet, if you're there and we draw your name, you get to load your vehicle up with a machine that you put in the drawing for and take it home with you. So that's what I plan to do for that. Now, I know that's kind of stinks for some of you guys that can't come because you're so far away, but these are machines that I can't physically ship because they either don't have the box or it's just too huge. Like this thing over here, I'm not taking this apart and putting it back in boxes. I can't. Like there's some parts of this big machine that I just put together. Although I don't agree with doing it this way because it makes it hard on me, but it's the screen that you slide to close. It's put together. It's put on there with some adhesive strip, which once you put it on there, it ain't coming off. So, I can't really take that one apart because that was one of the last pieces to go on there. And if I take it off, now you got to, the adhesive's messed up. Let me show you. So it's got this screen on the top of it that closes it up. So let me go show you what it looks like. So there you go. That's supposed to be, it's like a fabric material, almost like a window blind or something. But it's supposed to be flame resistant. And it does, I can verify that it does stop the blue light from escaping, and it does keep the smoke in there. So it serves those purposes, but there is no camera in this machine. I've been running it when I've been doing my testing and stuff. I've been running it in current position just because it's easier setting it up. Because I just move the laser to where I want it by hand and then deploy the file. So it's pretty cool though. But yeah, there you go. It has magnetic strips that keep it, once you open it to the other end, it kind of sticks up inside the channel on the other side, and magnets kind of retain it there until you pull it out. So it's, like I said, it's pretty innovative. I'll give them that. Some of the stuff that they've done with this machine is pretty neat. It's pretty cool. It's something I hadn't seen before. And that's one reason why I wanted to try it out and look at it. It's just because I was like, okay, so it's a water-cooled diode. Because to my knowledge, this is the first time that we've actually water-cooled a diode laser. Now, I know there's one other company that's doing it and have been working on it for probably a year, maybe not quite a year, because I've been in communication with them, and I should be getting one of them sooner or later as well. But this was the first one that got offered up to me. It was going to be a water-cooled diode. So pretty neat. Like I said, it is a big dude. Oh, Steve is in two places at one time. So he's in the basement and he's in the shop. So we're going to keep a live view on the shop. If if we start seeing things fly away, we're going to go back to that camera. This may be the viral video we both waited for our entire YouTube career.
Yeah. No, but that's the one I want going on.
Of course, if that happens, there's a good chance that the roof above you is going to be going away and you're going to be panicking. So I'll just narrate.
I don't know if that's going to show up too well, but
what is that? That's like a triangle of love.
Yeah, well, the blue dot's where I'm at, and well,
yeah, so you've got a good chance you're going to have some weather come over you here shortly.
The current actual tornado warning is south of us, heading northeast, so it shouldn't be local. But there's a nice that other wave kind of heading from the west. I wasn't going to sit out there and wait for it to interrupt me again. So
yeah, might as well. Come on in.
Plus, I can kick off my last job on this printer.
Yeah, I was trying to see if anybody commented on anything. We were talking about somebody asked, is that a Masuter 3S in the background? Yes, that is the Masuter 3S. It's a beast of a little CNC. It is underpowered as far as the spindle goes. I've still got the, what is that, 400 watt, ain't it?
Yeah, the stock one is, sounds about right. But they provide a 65 millimeter mount.
Yeah.
I don't know if Carbide still has it, but they had that inexpensive ER11 trim router spindle. I think they were selling them for like $60. Or Fox Alien does have now their 65 millimeter spindle with VFD. So,
yeah. See, I got this, and I haven't gotten caught up. But I got this guy right here for using with my Masuter, and this is Carbide 3D's router. It is an ER11 compatible. It comes with the collets and all the stuff that you need for it. And why does it got an air fitting? What is this? Not sure what the air. Wait a minute. This is for my air assist. Never mind. I put it in this box. They did not do that. I did that. So yeah, but there it is. I've got one, and I had considered putting it on the Fox Alien, but things got busy. So this is one of those rainy day projects, where you've got a project plan that you want to do, but you don't know when you're going to get to do it. That's what this is. because I've also, when I got this, I also got the air assist for my Shapeoko for doing aluminum and stuff. And I use an Atom Stack air pump, and I've got a hose and everything run through the drag chains and all that. And what it does is when I'm doing aluminum or brass or plastics, it sprays air onto the bit, which kind of moves the chips and stuff away from the bit. It's pretty handy, especially if you're not using dust collection, because I don't like using my dust collection with aluminum and stuff like that, because then you get aluminum shavings all in your HEPA filter on top of your dust collection. So, and those things don't come out, and you wind up having to buy a new sack for your filter. So I prefer to turn the air assist off and just discharge the chips away from the cut using the air assist. But yeah, I do need to get back on this video. I just forgot I had it.
Yeah, I need to make that space to get the extensions on mine. So,
yep. Chris, I don't think it's going to the new Acemer is going to make it as far as a carry-on. It's a little big for that. Client says he has a spot.
Good for him.
But,
yeah, Travis, the Bauer routers, it's not bad. For as inexpensive as it is, it's pretty good upgrade. I do have a few qualms about it. Not as it seems to jump up in speed. There's not as linear of a change on the dial and such. And I feel like it doesn't quite have the same power. Like it'll get bogged down before my Makita will. So but all those things in mind, I've put it on the 6050 and I ran that one on the Masuda 3S as well. So it's definitely, I mean, and you can snag those. I think I found mine on sale for like $35 one point. So, keep an eye at Harbor Freight for those every so often. And in a pinch, they make a good replacement on a lot of these as well.
Yeah. Ragu says that that big machine over there makes me look little. Steve says I am anyway, but I'm not. I'm
holding back, man. I'm holding back.
I'm like 6'1", 240 pounds right now. I'm not a little guy. I mean,
it's all relative.
I guess it is. I mean, if you put me next to an elephant, I am a small guy. If you put me next to an Acemer X1 4 foot by 4 foot, I look small. But Klein come in the door today and he walked around the corner. He looked at that machine and just started shaking his head. He's like, it's bigger than it looks in the pictures and stuff. I'm like, no kidding.
There's another one. Here. Oil Lamp Studio is asking, what do you recommend for material hold downs on diode laser, magnets, honeycomb clips, something else? I like having a variety of them because it kind of depends on what I'm doing. But for the simplest thing, you can just laser cut some, basically they're like upside down J's. So the top part will have a little bit of a hook to it, but then the post that goes down just needs to be sized to whatever dimensions your honeycomb are. And so then you can just cut those out on your laser out of whatever scrap material you have, push them down into the honeycomb, and then those will push down onto the material with that little J hook. It just gives it a little bit of a kind of a cant that will kind of lock it in place. And then it's basically free if you're using scrap material to make those. It's super cheap if you're using new material. But 3D printed ones are nice too. Sometimes you can make like a corner bracket if you're kind of doing a temporary alignment jig kind of thing. And magnets also, if you're trying to hold down a lightweight material and you've got a spot in the middle that's bowing up, you just need to make sure that it's outside the path of whatever your project is. But I've used all three of those in my various lasers. Just kind of depends on the occasion. You got anything to add?
Yes.
And
it doesn't make sense. These are magnets. These are really big rare earth magnets. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but there are times to where, especially with some of these machines where they're really close to the material, but you can take the painter's tape and connect it to the corner of the material, and just use it. But the tape is not going to stick to the honeycomb really well. But if you take one of these big magnets and put over the tape onto the honeycomb, it kind of pinches it and gives it a little bit of grip so that it doesn't move. So sometimes there are occasions to where, like, I'm trying to stay really, really low profile because these magnets are only like 3 millimeters thick, maybe 2 millimeters thick. So no matter how tight I have of a gap from a Z axis, I can use those. Yeah, I dropped that, but yeah, about out of this. I use a lot of green tape. And I like the green because I use it sometimes on cylindrical things to test my design, and the green shows up engraving better than blue. This you can actually mark this pretty easy, whereas the blue, it's not so much.
Yeah, it almost gets like white or like faded as opposed to like a dark line. So.
But yeah, that was the only other one that I don't see a lot of people using, but I use it sometimes. And if you've got if your honeycomb is in your machine and you have the material up against the trim around the honeycomb, then painter's tape is a no-brainer because it'll connect that plywood to that piece of, 1-inch strip around the honeycomb. But when you get out into the middle of the honeycomb bed, that's where the magnets come into play. There's really nothing, the magnets, the tape's not going to stick to the vertical edge of that the honeycomb, especially not with all the goo and stuff stuck to it if it's not clean.
There we go.
Well, thank you there, Melissa. Appreciate it. We don't ask, but we do appreciate it. Let's see.
There.
Oh, did you click one?
Nope. I was just distracted trying to get this print job set
up. Bill says, just getting into laser projects. Got my first one 4 weeks ago. Aesmer S1 2.5 watt diode, which died in 8 days. What the heck happened to it in 8 days? No air assist on that one, is there? Bet the lens got. That's the only thing that bugs me about some of these low-powered machines is they don't put a cover lens on the module, and it doesn't have air assist. So if you don't clean that thing like a lot, you can run into issues with the lens getting dirty. And if you ever mess that lens up on those that are fixed, I noticed that on the S2 that I had the other day, it didn't have a cover lens. Like, it just had the one lens, and that was it. So if you do mess up and let that thing get dirty, it could be bad. So I'm guessing maybe that's what it was.
I have my puzzle.
you put your little guys together.
See? Yeah, it could be that, but those things could. I mean, it's $100 laser, so
yeah.
There could be some electronics overheating or other things in that. So hopefully the 6 watt lasts longer and you can get more use out of it and enjoy it. So,
yep. Klein apparently is printing out some jigs. He come over here earlier demanding some jig kits for a machine he's got. So he's apparently cutting those out. Somebody said something about Taiwan and their machines at 4 foot by 8 foot that they had. I don't recall if they had advertised that one being water cooled or not.
Well, it's a CO2. They've got a new one.
The original one that they came out with that looked a lot like this thing.
Yeah, I don't know on that one, but the new one that they've got is now a fully enclosed CO2 thing. It's kind of a mix between your crawler and that.
It's kind of like that. It's like a CO2 version of that Elegoo that me and you had.
Oh yeah,
remember where it had the glass? Matter of fact, it's right up there. It had the glass on the gantry and had like a filter box built into it and everything. Reminds me a lot of that.
He's got hair and a hat now.
You should sell it. Have you printed a Sasquatch yet?
Well, the Chewbacca is the closest thing.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zentero said Two Trees has a new CNC too. The $1,000 CNC market is growing. Now, I will say this, and y'all know I like Aesmer. That's my suitor. All right, that's Aesmer's version of a 4040. and it's a CNC. If it were a laser, it would be decent, but as a CNC, it lacks rigidity. So that's one thing that some of these new CNCs that are coming out, be careful, because just because you put a spinning sharp cutter wheel on there doesn't make it. It's not going to be the same. There's lasers and CNCs. Me and Steve discuss this all the time, because lasers and CNCs, with a laser, you want something that can move a really insignificant amount of weight, fast, smooth, and consistent. Whereas with a CNC, you're not so much worried about it being fast. You just want it smooth, consistent, and torquey. So it's two different animals. And so when you start trying to get one machine do both things, it's going to suffer at one or the other. In my experience so far, it's either going to be a really good laser or really good CNC or mediocre both. Because that ASMR machine over there, the control systems, the way it works, if it was a laser, it'd be fine. But the Z-axis on it is not stiff enough to do the things that I think a CNC needs to be able to do. So that's. And I'm gonna be honest with you, this big ASMR sitting over here, they sent me a spindle with it too, a 200 watt spindle.
That's on a machine that big. Yeah, that's.
And well, the Z-axis is just not set up for it. I mean, it's because in order for it to be strong enough to operate as a CNC, it would need to look like that Shapeoko and weigh 300 pounds as opposed to 150 pounds, because you're not going to get that kind of rigidity out of a frame that weighs half what the Shapeoko weighs. You're just not. I mean, it's not the case.
Yep. And a 200 watt spindle, you might engrave with it, but
yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of a lot of wasted bed space for that. But
well, when you put resistance against a spindle, it's going to cause shift and movement in it, and so that's the thing with a laser. A laser really doesn't touch anything when it's operating. So if there's a little slack in a laser module, other than just inertia or the energy slinging it around a little bit, it usually doesn't hurt anything if the module, as long as the module has nothing pushing against it. But with a CNC, by nature, it's going to be pushing against the material. When it does, it's going to cause that thing to apply pressure to the Z-axis. And if the Z-axis is not sturdy enough, it's going to shift one way or the other. So if you're trying to cut things or do graphics or whatever, it just leads to a lot of inconsistencies. So, and that's going to be another one of my recommendations for them is with this ASMR, this big ASMR, is just leave the CNC thing alone. Just pretend that never happened.
Yeah. But everybody, I don't know. I mean, I get wanting to try and maybe make the machine more useful, but yeah, when you start running into these multifunction machines, you tend to get that it can do everything sort of okay, not any one thing very well.
Yeah. Well, here's another question that I had. This is a water cooled diode laser, which means there's water lines going into the module. So anytime you swap the module, you have to disconnect the water lines to put the CNC on there. Well, now you've got these two water lines that you've got to cap them, plug them, tie them together. You've got to do something with them or it's going to get messy. So I get what they're trying to do, but I think it's hurting it more than it is helping it, because now you've got these two big water lines that you're going to have to either cap them off, tie them together, or whatever. And if you do cap them off, then you got to make darn sure not to turn that pump on, because now you're going to burn that pump up because it can't circulate the water. And so there's a whole nother set of problems that could come along with trying to swap it out for the CNC module.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see people doing it, not for its CNC capabilities. They're going to buy this for a laser, and that's it.
Yep.
Somebody asked how that mower doing. That is the best little gadget that I have bought this year. I'm just going to throw that out there. I am now only having to do yard maintenance of any significance every 3 weeks. But that's because there are places that it doesn't get, or either the bahia will pop up and it thinks that the bahia is a stream that it doesn't need to run over. And so it intentionally avoids those little pockets of tall grass. But generally speaking, since I've gotten it, I've only had to break out the zero turn like every 3 weeks, which is awesome in Alabama. If you can make it more than a week without having to cut grass here, it's awesome. But my grass has been being cut 2 to 3 times a week, depending on the thunderstorms, because the way the machine works is if it rains, it basically puts itself in timeout for like 3.5 hours. And if it gets dark before those 3.5 hours is up, then it won't deploy until the next morning. So there's some days, some weeks it gets cut like 3 times. Some weeks it only gets cut, twice. Some weeks it may get cut 4 times. But my yard's looking really nice. Grass is thicker. I'm cutting it at 3.5 inches now instead of 2.5. It looks a lot more green. It's not dying as easy when it gets real hot and dry. So I'm very happy with my purchase so far. Probably time to change blades on it again.
That's good.
But yeah.
You can't sharpen them?
Might could, but they're like $15 for 30 blades. So it's like, it's kind of like sharpening your box cutter blades. It's like, you could, but is it really worth it? Because that's basically all it is like, it looks like one of these little guys with a hole in one end of it. And you can buy like a pack of 30 off of Amazon for like $14. So, but yeah.
Cool. Well, Monster Blunt was asking for some tips on their first event, the Little League, Babe Booth Little League. If you remember talking about that, and apparently it was a good success. So, congratulations on that.
Yes, sir. There's money to be made in those sports and athletic stuff. Ball bag tags, doing gloves, doing like, memorial balls, like for, coaches and stuff like that, where they're like, thanks for coaching the season or whatever. There's money to be made. I do a lot of the ring things, what they call the ring holders, where they do their World Series rings or whatever they call them. There's a lot of things to do in that. But that's good. Glad to hear it worked out.
Cool.
Yeah, Travis is talking about he's got the Elegoo Centauri. It's $2.99, fast and fun. I use it more to fix stuff around the house than I anticipated. Yeah.
Klondike has one of those. He's on with Ryan on Saturday nights, and he does a lot of train stuff, and he's been really enjoying it. And then I've heard generally good things about it. I heard they also had maybe some issues with higher temperature stuff that they're trying to work out a little bit, but overall for a $300 printer, it seems pretty good.
Yeah. So here's some of the, like, this is a bag tag that I make for some of the softball, baseball teams or whatever. They put it on their bag that they take to the field so that they don't get them mixed up. And then, of course, you can do like little keychain bag tags and stuff like that. These are 2-layered acrylic, black and red acrylic, using some of Steve's favorite glue and a key ring. Matter of fact, I was thankful that you taught me into getting that glue, Steve, when I was fixing this tank back, because it worked really well for that tank. So, yeah, appreciate the glue advice.
I used some in my video that I didn't mention earlier. I did that back to school video. Xtool sent out some materials and such, and in there was some acrylic, and so Weld On 3. It just kind of wicks in between the surfaces, and it acts as a cement and fuses them together. Good stuff for doing acrylic.
Oh yeah. Madra, that's what it is right there, that Weld On 3. Now, I will tell you, it's almost like if you've ever done plumbing, it almost reminds me of PVC cleaner, because it like evaporates. Like it'll go away. If you leave it sitting out, it just evaporates and goes away. It's really watery, real thin, but you take the little, mine came with the little like eyedropper bottle looking things, and you suck some of it up in that eyedropper bottle and squirt it on like right there on the crack between these two pieces, and it'll just suck up in there and glue them right together. So works really well. But Steve's the one that got me hooked on it, because Steve's like the man of 1,000 glues. Yes, Jack said, "Don't get Steve started on glues." Yeah, it's kind of like the purple stuff, but without the purple dye. Because you know that the purple that's in the cleaner is just a dye, so that it shows you that it's been cleaned or been glued. But if you did any of the clear, that's exactly what it looks like. Yeah, Rich said he uses a syringe for weld on. That'd be, if you had syringes, that would be a good thing to use. I don't keep those around here.
Yeah, I mean, it comes with a little.
It's like a dripper bottle thing.
Yeah, but syringes make it a little easier to control.
Well, I can't reach it without my stool. It's up on the top. I can't quite reach it without my stool. I ain't gonna drag that stool out. Norbert's asking, do you ventilate your room or your 3D printer? And I can tell you that from looking at his room behind him. No, he does not. Go ahead.
I mean, outside of just the natural flow of air, but no, I don't. But I kind of in here, I don't do anything like ABS and things like that. So this is, I know PLA does have a little bit of, you can get concerning gases from that as well. But the FBI character, well, haven't checked that out yet.
Bob's asking, what's the name of the glue? It was, don't make me lie. Weld on, right? 3. Ain't that it?
Yeah, I can grab a link real quick.
It works. Steve's the one that mentioned it one night, and I was making fun of him, but I actually wrote down the name of it so I could go on Amazon and order something. But it works.
Yeah, it's like you say, using the right adhesive for the right job makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, because if it hadn't been for you telling me that night, it would have took me a while probably, because I would have been trying to use some like super glue or something.
I printed this in the wrong color, so I'm reprinting it.
Well, you have started something. Well, I'll tell you, I fired my printer up today for the first time in a while, and I told Brandy, I was like, look, that first layer looks a little rough, so help me keep an eye on it. And I came out here in the shop, and it wasn't but a few minutes later, I get the pop up on my phone that said task had been canceled. And Brandy sends me a picture and said, "Hey, I think this is failed."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you think? That's what it looked like when she sent me the picture.
Yeah, that's happened to me too.
And that right there is what it was supposed to be. That piece that you see holding that jig on that galvo right there. But it like I said, I sent the job from out here, and I didn't go in there and wipe the build plate down or anything before I sent it. And my guess is it has some dust and stickiness on it, and it just didn't hold. Because I saw on the camera where that first layer looked a little rough, and sure enough, it came loose. But then, like I said, once I pulled that off, took a microfiber cloth and wiped it down real good, it hit start. Same job, just hit start again, and it did good. So.
Metal Detecting Southeast Texas ordered an OhmTech CO2 2028. What's your thought on this product? So that's the Maker series. I don't know which one, what wattage you got. I actually have the one that's no longer listed there. It's the 50 watt. They called it the Maker 25. But they have like a 60, a 90, and 100 watt version, I believe, in that one. It's a decent machine. It's kind of your typical cabinet CO2 that's been offered from OhmTech and others for a while. They kind of just put their own specs and own branding on it and such. I don't know about the larger ones, but mine had an integrated air pump, which was just kind of on when the machine turned on, and then kind of the same thing with the exhaust. It's a big 6-inch fan in the back that works, but things that down the road you'd probably want to bypass and have a little more control on. But as a basic CO2 machine, nice, a lot of room to work in there, a lot of depth as far as if you want to do taller items and such. Mine didn't have like a wheeled base. I had to build kind of a cart thing for it and such. But yeah, no, it runs fine. The one I had was just a little bit smaller. It was a 12 by 20 working area. So if you're in that size, they've got now their Ohmtech Polar line that gets you the same size, but in a smaller form factor. But no, only things on it is hopefully you got the 5200 water chiller with it, because you are going to want an actively cooled water system for that. You can start out with, the bucket of ice water and such, but you do want to make sure that it's sealed when it's running and such, and make sure there's not getting impurities in there. And that's where those, even if you have the CW3000, it's at least keeping that sealed. Getting impurities in there can be an issue. So if you haven't gotten the chiller, you probably want to consider looking at that option as soon as you can. So
yeah,
but other than that, yeah, go ahead.
I haven't had one of those machines. Like I know you've had that one. Like you said, it was a little bit smaller. But from what I can see, I mean, it looks like it has their linear rails, which look a lot like the drive system that's in the Polar Plus that I have, as far as the rails and everything. But yeah, they do. Ohmtech does give you enough fan. Like that's one thing that me and Steve fuss about a lot of times is exhaust fans. Ohmtech does. Like they sent me this Polar Plus. It has a pretty good size fan built into the cabinet, but they also sent a 6-inch remote controlled fan with it as well, which is, there's my remote right there, and I can actually just sit in here and hit the buttons. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but that turns the fan on, and then I can turn it off right there hitting that button. So that's pretty cool. Being able to do that also. So I don't know if it comes with that one or not, but the air, my Polar Plus does pretty decent. But like Steve said, if you were really, really being nitpicky, it probably wouldn't hurt to be upgraded just a bit, but it works. So I've looked at getting like a bigger machine, and Ohmtech is one of the brands that I have looked at. Ohmtech and Thunder are probably my two top contenders. If I were going to get me which I'm going to as I retire, hopefully, get me a bigger CO2 machine to do more productivity type stuff with. Those are my two I've been looking at, is Ohmtech and Thunder. So
yeah, it's without jumping into the more expensive brands, and Thunder's getting up there a little bit, but it's definitely one, I think, for a hobbyist to a small business, or even I've seen some larger businesses just get multiple Ohmtech and run them. I would agree. I've been pretty happy with my dealings with them and the equipment, and yeah, the air exhaust. The Polar Light, I was a little, when I first saw it, they have kind of this bank of small fans along the back, and I was like, I don't know that's going to move enough air, but it does spread out the air that it's pulling in across the whole working area, and so far I actually have been impressed with how well that's worked on such a small inlet fans and outlet. Yeah,
the like I said, the one that you have is a little different than the Plus that I got. Mm-hmm. But it shares some characteristics, but some of the other ones not so much. But like I said, I've had good luck with their machines. There are brands out there that are better, I guess you could say. A lot of people want to say that they're better, and they're a lot more expensive. And I can understand if you're somebody that doesn't want to or doesn't know how to work on a machine, then you may want to pay a premium just to have a really robust support structure. But with me being a little more adept to working on the machines and putting it together and troubleshooting it and stuff like that, I feel more comfortable with going with less support from them, because most issues I should be able to resolve myself with minimal, input from the manufacturer. So that's one of the things that to me, like some of these Eons and some of the there's several of the more sure enough high end machines out there that you can spend as much as you want. But if I can keep my money and still do the same jobs with it, even if I have a little less support or a little slower machine or a little less technology. I'm going to go that route first. Maybe one day if things get just massively big or whatever, maybe I step it up to something more expensive. But for me, for right now, I just need something to do the job, raise my productivity, and stay within budget. So those are really important. Budget's really important to me. I'm not trying to keep up with the Joneses. I'm just trying to keep up with orders. So yeah, I've seen Rich just talked about the RM. He's saying that the RM's a good laser. I've seen some stuff about them. They seem okay, but I have no experience with them currently. So,
yeah. The question is, did either of us test the Genmitsu 4040 Pro Max? We both did, and that's actually that's the only 4040 that I got. You got the original one, I know.
Yes.
And so we both have that. That comes with the 700 watt. They call it a spindle. It's like a trim router with a ER11 collet on it, which is a really nice machine. I think if you're going to go that route, you should go to that one and get the upgraded router on it as is. So we both have videos out there, and there's some project videos as well. I'll probably be firing it up here again shortly to work on some things as well. So more to come on that one.
Yeah, I had the original SainSmart 4040 Pro when they come out with it, and then I liked it. It was actually my very first CNC I ever got to play with. And then they came out with the Pro Max, and they asked me if I wanted to try it out too. And I'm like, well, sure, I like the Pro, so we'll see. The Pro was a decent machine, but the Z-axis was it had a little bit, of improvements needed to it. But when they come out with the Pro Max, that was one of the big upgrades that they did, was they made the Z-axis a lot more sturdy. And the Pro Max compared to the Pro, I would definitely pick the Pro Max if you can budget it, because it will do like big CNC stuff in a small package on a budget. Now you're not going to be able to do quite as much, like I said, with a Shapeoko or Onefinity or an Alt Mill. I mean, it's not going to quite hang with those machines, but it's a lot less of a toy and more of a tool, because like some of these machines you just can't do. You can't do big boy stuff. I mean, it just takes forever to do it. But yeah, the 4040 Pro, and then I'm gonna say that 6050 that me and you had, the 6050 Pro or whatever, that machine, that was a sturdy beast, but it was a team lift. So it was one of those that you did not want to be moving it around a lot. But the Pro Max from Genmitsu 4040 Pro Max and the Masuda 3S are probably that's the two top 4040 frame size machines that I've had an opportunity to test so far. And they both have upgradable options as such. I know Fox Alien just came out with a 1.5 kW spindle for theirs, which is cool. So, that would be, if you're getting into it, those two machines would be a good starter machine that wouldn't like piss you off when you're trying to make stuff because it's so slow. I mean, those actually give you the ability to make things, but they're expandable, so you can kind of grow into it if you need to as well.
Melissa's asking, do you find the 3D printers are worth the money, time, space? Are they fun to work with, and could you make your money back using one? A lot of different questions there. So worth it is, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking to make your money back, I know some people who are very successful with not necessarily just a print farm like you see with like Samcraft and such, but they hit up local markets, and they offer silly things such as these, multicolor dragon snake things. They'll print those out and people buy them, or other type of items. That's not me per se. I mean, I have a hard time valuing those things when I can make it myself. So I have a hard time saying that I would pay anyone what I think I would want for the time invested in these. But as far as being useful, I think they're a great add-on to me as a maker and even my other tools. They can make all sorts of parts, and whether they're add-on parts or replacement parts, you can fix things often with a 3D printer. these things are just fun. So,
Yeah, like,
I mean, as far as worth it, I'm having fun with these. And I mean, there's not a lot. This is probably like $2 or $3 worth of filament tops. And I might be even stretching it there, depending on brands you buy and deals you get. But I mean, these are kind of cool, and I can make gifts for people. And so that's part of it that's worth it for me. It's not necessarily a monetary worth. But it is, if you're looking to make your own stuff, 3D modeling is a little bit different than just, the 2D vector drawings that we do in Lightburn or XCS or other applications. So it does take a little bit more to wrap your head around that. And it's just a different medium to learn. There is a little bit, there have been some fires and such with people who have let them run improperly and such. And they can kind of mess themselves up, as both Clack and I have shared on our pages and such. But generally, you don't, a lot, unless it gets stuck to the actual hot end, usually it just kind of makes a spaghetti mess that you got to clean up, and you've wasted some time and filament. So it's not terribly bad. So I don't know. For me, I enjoy having one, and they've come down in price and up in quality. The bamboos have been really nice. The various sales, I've been able to catch the A1, which is the one that's running back here right now, for $300 to $400. You add the AMS for another couple hundred. It's a pretty nice unit, but their mini that is right next to it, they've had that down as under $200. And the Elegoo Centauri is right around $300. Flashforge has another one that's in that $300 to $400 range that they can all do like the multicolor printing and such, that it makes it a lot easier and they're faster than they used to be. That's the other thing, is they used to be painfully slow. So I don't know. I just enjoy having them. I wouldn't say I've made my money back on any of them, like from the stuff I've made, but they've saved me time. I've been able to make a variety of things that I've needed. I've been able to fix lasers with 3D printed parts. So to me, that's worth it, but I'm not looking at it as it directly is going to make me money. It's more of it's supporting, it's keeping me moving and giving me options to, Clack's got some back there and I've got some other ones in the shop, but one of the things that they're very useful for is no one can standardize on an outlet port for lasers. And so I'm always adapting to their outlet to, the exhaust hose. So even just being able to make something as simple as that's a precise fit is really nice. Yeah. So
yeah, these are 4-inch to like say the X-Tool products. This fits those. It fits several of the other machines. I think this is actually the one that fits the Lumos, that takes it from a 4-inch to whatever it fits. And then this one, I had to make this. This was like, I had one of these machines that's around here. I don't remember which one it is, but instead of a 4-inch, it was just barely smaller. So I had to make a sleeve to slide over the outlet and then slide the 4-inch onto it. And, I printed this out on the bamboo, and it prints perfect. They've got that one little line right there where the layers go together. But other than that, you can't tell this was 3D printed. And same thing with these. I mean, these are handy. So to me, being able to print these things, as well as all of this stuff here, like all of this little cone right here, my lens covers and all this stuff, all of that orange and black that you see right there is 3D designs that I designed and printed. Now, for stuff like this, if you're not able to design your own, yes, there's going to be a little bit of a cost associated with getting certain files. But if you look at Thingiverse and you look at a lot of these places, there's a lot of pretty neat little files out there.
Perimeter alert.
That are really cheap. Like I sell some of my stuff for like $5, and you get like all the parts for the lasers and stuff, and then you just download it and hit print. You don't have to know how to design. So those are things to consider. But like my wife's trash can broke, and it was a little plastic piece that broke inside that raises the lid when you step on the pedal, and it was like $100 trash can. and she couldn't. She was supposed to throw it away because you step on the pedal and the pedal just flopped. And I'm like, well, let me see what I can do. And I was able to take that thing apart, take the little plastic piece out. I glued it back together with some glue and then modeled it, using my calipers, measured everything, modeled it, printed it out of PLA, put the trash can back together. And I think that's been like 6 months ago. And that trash can is working to this day. So that one project saved me from having to buy a $100 trash can, not mentioning my wife having to drive all over the state to find it because she's very particular about her trash can. Because they have one at Walmart that was similar but not the same, and it wasn't getting it. So, it's those things, and making mountain brackets for all kinds of stuff. I mean, it has its need. Matter of fact, there's another adapter right there. You can see a black one that I printed on that fan right there. So it's just really, really handy. I love them.
And you don't have to be a designer. There's Maker World, there's Tinkerverse, there's Printables. Kind of all the major players and others have their kind of marketplace with which a lot of the designs are free. Some have premiums to them and such, but you can find a lot of useful things, not just tchotchkes and stuff, but you can find those as well, such as these on these sites, and get a lot of use out of the 3D printer. But that being said, it is kind of nice to be able to start diving in and doing some of your own designs, and make things that are useful to you. So yeah, as far as being worth it, that's going to be kind of up to what you find the value in, I guess.
Yes, there's a handle that I made.
Yeah.
This actually bolts to. I don't remember what I had it on, but I made a handle for. Oh, my daughter had a shield she had to make for history class, and this was a shield handle. So yeah,
and yeah, I made some kind of angled louver inlets for one of my enclosures, so there wasn't a direct path for the light to get in and out, but the air could move through there. So there's a variety of things that it can be useful for.
This is a fire extinguisher holder. Matter of fact, you see that fire extinguisher that is right there? And then there's another fire extinguisher right there on the front of my CNC. Well, both of those fire extinguishers are held up using 3D printed designs that I made. There's a Vintage Workshop sticker that I found stuck to something in here.
Where did that come from?
I wonder. But yeah, it's all kinds of little things that you can print. Whistle. I got all kinds hinges. You need some light duty hinges. You just print your own hinges. I mean, it is neat the things that you can make. And to me, I like making things, and even if I can't design it, I'll find somebody that can and purchase the file from them. So it's really handy to have. But like I said, I just like making stuff. So. Madra says, I now have 3 fire extinguishers in my garage. Yeah, I've got that little aerosol one right there that I keep over here. And then I've got another one, like I said, over there. That's one of the Walmart little kitchen spray bottle ones. It's really small, but it doesn't do a whole lot. But then over by the door, I've got the big boat and RV one. That's, like the typical, like what you'd see in a boat and an RV. So I've got 3, and they got a water hose right outside too. So, but most of the time I end up using my old Windex bottle over there because that's all I ever really have. I had it on standby when I was testing this 120 watt, trying to cut a 2x4 in half earlier. I almost made it. Almost did it. Yeah. It goes out of focus. If it would stay in focus, it would do it, but it goes out of focus. You can see the cut is angled. But yeah. The 2x4 had a split in it. That's why I was playing with it. But yeah.
I don't know. Most of the laser manufacturers tell us not to test 2x4s on them.
You know,
And don't show the fires.
you know. Well, I mean, I was just seeing if it would do it. I was just curious how deep it would go before it lost its focus, and it didn't quite make it.
Yep.
Yep. I also have a. Yep. Fluffy hates it with a passion, though. She can't stand it.
Most cats don't like things put on their head.
Yeah, she can't stand it. She'll bite you if you try to put it on her too much.
A couple questions. Dennis asking, what am I printing behind me? So I've been printing out these little chunkables, and he's got the Kung Fu grip hand, as every 80s kid knows. And he's supposed to be holding one of these blocks that is going to be completely blown out. But there's a little question mark on the inside. This is supposed to be yellow, and the question mark that you stick in there is white. So I'm reprinting it in yellow back there. And I'm using the A1 with the AMS on it right now. But I do have the Mini, and then I have the P1S next to it. So those are the three printers I have on hand right now. But maybe looking at maybe bringing a non-bamboo printer into the shop soon to kind of give people options that are a little leery of the kind of the closed environment here. So we'll see. I've been talking with a couple places about some options.
Yeah. Kevin, to an extent, I guess you technically could print the threads. Me personally, yeah, there you go. Me personally, for like those with the metric, because those are really, really thin threads, what I do is I basically downsize the whole, like half the depth of the thread thickness. Like however deep the threads are, basically I do an offset to like half the thickness, and then just take and put the screw in there. If you really like have a hard time with it, you can take a heat gun and heat that screw up and get it nice and toasty with PLA, and then it'll just screw in really nice and easy. And then because it actually melts the plastic, so you can thread those fairly well. You can also buy. What did I do with my kit? Hang on. I don't know where I put it. It's over here somewhere. Well, I think I put them in my toolbox. But you can get inserts also that you have a little end that screws into a soldering iron, and you put these little inserts on there, let them get hot, and then you literally just shove it up in there, and it's a threaded, like a brass insert that goes inside the hole. And it goes in like basically hot and melts the plastic, and so that holds it in there. So there's a couple different ways you can go about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What did I do with my little kit? It's right here somewhere. I got a whole big box of them. I don't know what I did with them.
Yeah, Norbert kind of summed it up there for how I feel about the 3D printing, and as well as the lasers. Although lasers do tend to bring more income to me, but it's an outlet to be creative, to make stuff, and that's where the value comes into me. And yeah, I'd have to go back and look to see when I got my first one. It was a MakerBot. It was a kit that was laser cut from MDF and held together with zip ties and other things, and it was interesting and slow. No heated bed. So like I say, they've come a long ways and become a lot easier to use.
Yeah, so here's one of the inserts.
Yeah,
it's hard to see, but it's basically just a brass sleeve that has threads on the inside, and then it's got these cool little knurlings around the outside that help it grip. And you just heat them up. It comes with these. The little kit comes with these little, basically sleeves that go on your soldering gun, and then you just set these things on there and press them in. If you really want to get fancy, you can either buy or make basically like a press that helps you keep everything square as you're pressing them in. I don't have one of those. I do it the old-fashioned way.
Bob's asking what software do you use with Bamboo. Bamboo Studio is what they want you to use, and really try to push you to use. and it works great if you're a beginner and you're not working on things that you might be concerned about security and whatnot on, because you can turn these into local only, but to take advantage of these properly, you actually attach, you have an account with them. They have kind of cloud-based services where your printers will connect to your account, and then from your phone or your computer, you load up the Bamboo Studio app, and you can browse files from their store there. You can import files. You can make all your adjustments and such. And then you send the job through the cloud to the printer. Now there's a way to turn it into what they call LAN only mode. It cripples it a little bit, and that's where some people don't like it. They don't have the control to tweak from an open source piece of software or make changes to the board. You can make profile changes that might affect the flow and do some calibration of that, but you don't have quite the same control as you do with some of the others. Now, some people have used, I believe it's Orca Slicer, and kind of hacked into it, but Bamboo has done some things that makes that a little bit trickier. So that's some of the issues that people aren't happy with them right now. But if you're a beginner and you're just going to be downloading other people's files or doing very basic things, this does make it easier to get started with. And that's kind of key with anything, is that if it's like having training wheels on a bike or flight controllers on airplanes that help assist. If it makes the experience better and you feel like you have successes, you're more likely to have those wins propel you into doing more with it than struggling through it and going, this is too much for me. So,
well, I've lived in both worlds. I had a Creality, which will run on basically any software that you want to put it on, open source. And I've had a Bamboo Labs. And my piece of advice would be, if you want to tweak with your machine and you want to try to make it super fast, or you want to, add it to where you can control it through proxies from wherever, don't get a Bamboo. If you want a printer to where you can download a file and hit print and have a successful print, get a Bamboo. Because Bamboo, you're not going to be tweaking the settings. You're not going to be playing with the software. You're going to run their software, but it's going to work, and it's going to work every time you hit the button. If so far, the only failed prints that I have had with my Bamboo, I can track back to damp filament that needed to be dried, or like today, where I hadn't printed in several weeks, and where I live in the summertime, it gets a little dusty and stuff, and so there can be a thin layer of dust on that bed that you can't even see, but it's enough to inhibit bed adhesion to where things come loose when they're printing. So that's the only two problems that I can say that I have to watch for. Is I have to make sure my filament stays dry, and that before printing, I take some isopropyl alcohol or some 100%, whatever, 90% alcohol, and clean the bed, the work area. Really good. And you can even use just a dry microfiber cloth as long as it's clean. I've had good luck with that, but a little bit of rubbing alcohol doesn't seem to hurt. But that's the only problems I've had with my Bamboo. Before that, I had an Ender. I spent a lot of time working on it and a lot less time printing, but I'm not really one that I didn't get a 3D printer to work on it. I got a 3D printer to print things that I need to help me with other jobs. So just figure out which way you want to go with that and purchase accordingly. But I highly recommend Bamboo if you're using it like I do for utilitarian type things around the house. It's just easy. And you can go on their Maker's World or whatever and download stuff. It's really easy. And like right here, I'm in my shop. This is actually, my machine's actually in my house. And there's the camera. You can see everything. I can control it from here. I can do whatever I need to do from here. These are things that I've printed on it before. These are things that you can go in here and I can download and print, or I can go and search for, like, if I want to cat something or another, I can go in here and search for cat stuff and it'll pull up cat stuff. So that's where it's useful for people that don't necessarily know how to model, is these models right here. When you download those, they're going to work with your machine if it's a Bamboo. So it's that simple. So it's really cool in my opinion. Biscuit, what are you doing, buddy? Hang on, I got to let a dog in.
Greg, if you're having trouble connecting your A1, you may want to start over, try to do a factory reset. So if your panel does work, you're going to want to go into settings, and there should be a factory reset in there. I know a few people that they've kind of gotten hung up on that, and then I think that's kind of the general suggestion is just have it reset to where you open the box, and that it should hopefully bring you back to that kind of initial prompt where you need to connect it to your account.
Yeah, it's been so long since I did one. I couldn't tell you what the steps are. Well, look at there. We got more company coming in. Kitty, kitty. Come here. She's like, but there's a big dog right there.
Jerry's asking, what size inline fans, CFM, do you use in your shops, or do you have VAX? Also, do you feel you have to provide an inlet for your shop for outside air, else the fans don't exhaust fully? So yeah, it's going to depend on what you're pulling from, and I mean, there's a number of factors there. So, yeah, wherever you're pulling air from, you're going to need to be able to replace that air. So not only do you have to think about that with your enclosure, so if you have a 4-inch fan versus a 6-inch fan, you need to provide the proper inlet into the enclosure for that fan to work. But the same thing is if you're exhausting it out from your whatever your space is there, yeah, it's going to need to replace that air, or it will choke it down. As a matter of fact, I can definitely tell that if my shop is sealed up and I open the door, you can hear the fan change. You can see a little bit of difference. So that usually only an issue in winter when I'm trying to keep things a little more sealed there. But as far as size, I usually go in with a 6-inch fan, and they're going to vary from, I think on the low end, I've seen 400 some on CFM on up. But there again, if you're using a 6-inch fan and you have a 3-inch inlet or outlet on your laser, you actually might be working that fan a lot harder for not, because it can't move the air through. So you kind of got to size it to how much airflow you can actually get through your machine itself. But and then also, I mean, if you're designing your own enclosure, think about dead space that doesn't need to have air moved through it. So I like to have a downdraft style where the outlet's underneath the honeycomb, but I don't need like the corners of the honeycomb. I mean, like if the honeycomb takes up this much space, but the laser's sitting bigger, I usually build that box in, and I'll try to baffle it as much as I can so that there's not any extra dead air under there, and that's just going to help keep things moving. Same thing with the rest of your enclosure, is you want to try to make sure that the air is going to move through wherever the smoke's going to be, and that might be having your inlets up a little bit higher so that it moves down towards the laser and then out underneath the honeycomb, or however you have your inlet and outlet fitted. Think about where the airflow is moving, because I've seen somewhere the inlets maybe on the front left and the outlets on the front rear, and the air is just kind of hitting that side of the enclosure, but up over here on the right upper side, smoke's getting up there. Yeah, you're not getting any
like
airflow.
An eddy current going around and around in circles.
So yeah, it's kind of, it's not only CFM, but it's also trying to think of the space that it has to pull it from. So you can get by with a lower CFM if you have a more efficient path and less space, versus, if you've got a monster 4x4 ASMR laser, you're going to need to probably be able to move more air, but then also possibly having multiple inlets and outlets to get it across the whole space. So I don't know that I fully answered that for you, but it kind of gave you a number of things I think about when I'm looking at my airflow. But most of mine are 6-inch fans, and then they're branched off into a couple of 4-inch ports for multiple lasers.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you've got a 2200 CFM fan. If you've only got 1,000 CFM inlet, that's all you're going to get. You're going to bottleneck it somewhere. So you got to make sure, like Steve said, if you have that much power on the output, that's not doing you any good if it's having to suck through tiny little cracks just to get a little bit of air. So you're actually affecting your airflow. Just like with like this enclosure here, that honeycomb right there is sitting in an open cavity. Underneath that cavity, in the top right corner, there's a 4-inch hole that goes down through the bottom. So all of the air is pulled in through that honeycomb, like underneath that honeycomb. And I've got it kind of baffled, like Steve said, to try to direct some of the suction to the other side of the honeycomb and all that. So same thing over here in my enclosure Zilla. And you can't see in there right now because it's dark. But in there, you'll notice that back there in the back, that's my fresh air inlet. And then underneath the honeycomb, of course, this one's got a big cavity down there, but there's an outlet is where my fan draws from, is down there. And the reason is this is a machine that typically during the day, it runs like all day while I'm in here. And I don't want it pulling my air conditioned air out of my shop and blowing it outside. So I've got this exterior inlet right there that pulls air in from outside, runs it through the laser enclosure, and then blows it back outside. So that way I don't constantly have to try to build my air conditioning back up. Because my little mini split can't keep up if I'm pumping the air out with a 6-inch fan.
And I'm gonna drop a link in there, and that's the Han and Guan 6-inch fan. I think both of us have a version of it, or similar.
I think I still got one of them going. I've swapped over a lot of them to Vivors, but it's very, very similar.
Well, the one that this one is, it's got a little bit higher CFM rating than some of the others. A lot of those are 400-ish. This one's 469. So, having the on-off switch, I have another one that has it has more of an electronic one, which I don't like as much because it's basically tap a button up to 10 times to go from level 1 to 10 and then off. This one has more of just a potentiometer knob that you dial it and you can turn it on and off much easier. Of course, it's not as fancy as Clack's Bluetooth OhmTech one, but
you talking about this guy? This guy right here?
Yeah, there. That one.
Yeah. It's pretty neat until the battery falls out of it. But it's got a mount that it mounts right here beside me. And this one actually, I'm using it over here. So it actually pulls the air from my galvos. My other ones, I have this one on enclosure Zilla, comes on whenever I power up the enclosure. The one to my left right here on my lightsaber enclosure, it's on a switch down here by my knee. But it's the variable speed as well with the potentiometer. But I've got it set to where it's almost all the way up. So when I flip the switch, it energizes the plug it's plugged into, and it comes on. So, and you can also, if you really want to be fancy, you can get yourself some of these right here, Amazon smart plugs, and you can actually tell your exhaust to turn on and off. Those are pretty handy. Yep. Thank you, Jerry. Somebody was asking earlier about my bed that goes up and down. I got a video. If you go to my content and search for enclosure Zilla, that's this big enclosure over here. It's got a powered honeycomb. It's not a Z-axis because it's not connected to the machine, but it's a powered honeycomb that I can use to lower or raise material so that I can do like ammo cans, tumblers, chests. I can do up to, I think, about 12 inches height with this diode laser without having to move anything. I just hit a button and the bed goes up and down.
He's finished.
Mercy. So yeah, it's a mess. Like I said, I've been trying to decide what I'm going to do if I do get me a bigger cabinet machine, because if I get me a bigger cabinet machine, right now I've got the OhmTech CO2 over there, which by the way is rocking it with the tumblers right now. And then I've got this A70 Pro here, got the X40 Max here. Of course, Shapeoko. I still got my S1 sitting here, my F1 Ultra sitting there. But the S1 is it's basically been benched now that I've got something to do tumblers, because I don't need another 40-watt diode. I've already got my X40 with the drop bed over here, so it's a little more versatile. Like we talked about earlier, if something's too complicated to use, you tend not to use it. Well, with this enclosure, the way I built it out, it's just convenient for everything I do, except for like tumblers and stuff, because I wanted a CO2 setup to do tumblers. But now that I've got the OhmTech resolved, I'm good on tumblers. Matter of fact, I'm going to be partnering with a tumbler. I got a tumbler deal that I'm working on right now. Hopefully, as a fundraiser for school, and I'm gonna be cranking out some tumblers. It's gonna be crazy. We'll see. Yep. Kevin said he likes your little Luigi's and Mario's and all that good stuff.
Well, they're let me see here. There's a maker that does a lot of them, and he offers a few for free, but then he has like it's kind of like a supporter program. You pay so much a month and you get so many downloads per month. I will link it as well. If people have 3D printers, want to check them out, because like I say, you can do this on a single color printer. You print all the parts individually. So
yeah. Somebody, Mark's asking, did you print a riser for your P1S?
not yet. No, I haven't settled 100% where things will sit. So I haven't decided how I want to do that, but I've been looking at some of them.
Greg's asking, can you only connect the A1 to Wi-Fi? Or what if someone didn't have Wi-Fi? I'm pretty sure that's all you got, right?
There is an SD card slot on it.
Well, yeah, for like manual file transfer.
Yep. So yeah, you can copy files to an SD card and then drop them in the printer and then load it from there. But I don't think you can. Yeah, I don't think there's a direct USB connection to them. So
yeah, and I don't. Maybe there is. Hell, I can't remember. I had to look. I had to go in and look at mine. I know when I set mine up, one of the first things that I did was the Wi-Fi. And if I'm not mistaken, can't you set the Wi-Fi using the little controller?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm wanting to say you can go in there and go to machine settings and connect the Wi-Fi using the little touchpad on the A1. It's been a while.
You might do it through the app. Like it locally connects to it first.
Oh, okay. I can't remember. Like I said, I did mine. I set mine up like it come out of the box. I connected it to the Wi-Fi, and I haven't had to mess with it since. But that's why I got it, is so that I don't have to know how to set it up 100 times. What are you doing over there, Goofy? The cats are not wanting to play. He's like, but they're sitting everywhere. There's cats just sitting everywhere. Mark saying you can set up a LAN to transfer files. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could connect it just a local area if you didn't have internet. But if you don't have internet, I don't know that you can use the Bamboo without internet now.
You can do it in LAN only mode.
Oh, can you? Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't played with it. Greg, two things to check, and this, I don't know that this matters, but if you have any spaces in your SSID on your Wi-Fi, and also I'm not sure if that one supports 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi or not. So if you have a 2.4 option, you may want to go with that. And then check your SSID and make sure it doesn't have any spaces. And this is something that me and Steve have run into with some of the other lasers and stuff, but I don't have the issue because my SSID does not have spaces in it. And I did that on purpose because when I went through my networking classes and stuff, that was one of the things that I recalled was, in the olden days, you couldn't have spaces in your SSID. Now you can, but some of the older cards don't like it and won't let you connect to it.
Yeah, I would check. I think they prefer to be on 2.4. So you will want to see if you can.
Okay, Jack said his is 2.4 only.
Either create a. You might have to go into your router settings and see what you have for options. If it's defaulting to 5 gigahertz, you might have to see if you can temporarily bump it to 2.4 only to connect the printer. You say it says 2.4, okay. Yeah, otherwise I don't know if you can get a if your router has all the ability just to create just a separate 2.4 versus that.
Like an IoT network.
You can do that, yeah. But yeah, it's going to need to be 240. I don't know about the spaces in that one. I think it might be okay with this. But I know on some devices that's been an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, that, like I said, I never had the issue, but I know you had that one machine that you got in, and you had the same exact machine, and we sat there and went through the different things, and that's the only difference. And then I remember you said you set up a temporary Wi-Fi.
Well, that was the the original one, the
Yeah.
Vision 20,
It
and
fixed it. So
it had to have the most basic Wi-Fi options. They've changed that in their
yeah,
at least in the Vision Pro. I don't know about the later versions of the Vision, like the 40 watt or whatnot, but yeah, it needed a pretty simple network, and it was not happy with some of my setup.
Bill's saying I like to use Lightburn full screen. Suddenly now it's half screen. I don't have and I have to enlarge it manually. I assume it's a setting in preferences, but it doesn't seem to be obvious to me. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're hitting the maximize button on there. That may be a computer issue. I don't know if that's going to be a Lightburn issue. If it's by default starting in like minimized mode or not full screen, that sounds more like a computer issue. Maybe could be a resolution thing with whatever resolution you run on your computer. There's a couple of things it could be, Bill. But I will say that I'm running the newest Lightburn, and I haven't had any resolution issues with my PC. But now I'm running a 1080p monitor. I'm not running anything too outlandish as far as like 4K or 8K or anything like that. What, dude?
Yeah, I mean, most Windows applications, they will remember whether it was in full screen or minimized or whatnot. So if you close it and it's partial screen, it'll reopen at that. But I don't remember if they have like a separate, because some of them will have like the full screen mode, and I've never looked at that.
Like I know, like even on this window, like you can. Matter of fact, we'll do it like this. Like you can actually grab like the top of your screen on most Windows machines, and if you pull to the side, it's going to throw it on one side or the other. But typically, you just hit the maximize button right there, and it fixes that. And it will remember, like Steve said, it will remember your last selection, and that's how it's going to open. Unless you change it, but that's going to be on your computer, and unless you did it on purpose, I wouldn't think that would be an issue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ralph. Yeah, a lot of your newer mesh stuff, I have found like some kind of what you're talking about. There are some devices that we have here on my network at home. When I was running like a basically an automatic assigned 2.45 gigahertz like automatic mesh network, I was having devices that like you said, they didn't like it. They would get hung up. And so I ended up just splitting mine into a 2.4 and a 5 gig. That way I can tell it which one I want to connect to, and it's not trying to automatically select the profile. Because I had a couple of like my phone was even having some issues, especially coming from the shop, going to the house, and then coming back. It was being weird. And sometimes my Wi-Fi wouldn't connect properly, or either it would just be slow as molasses. And when I changed that, it corrected the issue. So it's wild. Wi-Fi has evolved so fast over the past 10 years. If you've got a 10-year-old anything on your network, there's a really good chance that it's causing problems. Because like it's as fast as you can buy a new router, they've come out with the next version of Wi-Fi. Like what are we on, like Wi-Fi 8 now?
Well, 7's starting to become more prevalent.
So I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Sandra's asking about engraving flashlights. Or what machine would you use? Have the D140 watt. If you're talking about aluminum anodized ones, diode laser will be fine for that. IR might get you a little more of a brilliant white look to it. But you could definitely just do some tests with with that, I would start by pick up some of those anodized business cards as test material. That'll get you in the ballpark. But any item you get, you're going to want to have an extra to do your final kind of dial in testings on that. But yeah, I've done a lot of anodized aluminum just on really both CO2 and diode, as well as then the IR. You get into fiber, then you start risking you're going to burn into the metal a little bit more. You don't really need that just to change remove the anodization or the coating. Now, if you're talking about plastic ones, you want to be careful about what type of material they are, because there can be some hazardous plastics that you don't want to melt and engrave. So that one would take knowing a little more what the case of the flashlight is made out of. And then you may actually be wanting to use more of an IR or even a UV laser to get the best look out of them.
Yeah. Yeah, the IR, or like I said, the UV especially, but the IR will definitely give you a different look. With that anodization, like you said, you can get the whites and stuff a little bit better. But the blue lasers do a good job on it too.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 2 hours already, Steve, and you haven't blown away yet.
No. It's definitely raining right now, but I think, it's kind of in the middle of all that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, at least you're in the green area, not that red. I mean, that's better. It could be worse.
Yeah, I'm trying to see which direction it's going, though. Get one of those. That might head more east. So hopefully we're in the clear after this. But it has been a wet weekend.
Yeah, it's still been hot down here. We had a couple of cool days last week, and then this week it's like they turned the heat back up. It should start now that we're kind of later in the month. Hopefully it'll start cooling off a little bit, especially at night. Right now it's not really doing it. It's kind of hot, but I'm hoping. I'm kind of looking forward to those October nights, September, October nights, because they tend to get a little cooler. Because right now it's just like you walk outside and the humidity comes up so much at night, it's just like sticky.
Oh yeah, ours
it's miserable.
We've been in the 90% humidity overnight. I mean, even today, I don't think it dropped out of the 70% humidity. Between all the lakes and all the farm fields and everything, just holding that moisture in. So it normally starts driving up here. We don't get this much rain in the later summer as much. So we'll see. Because I'm ready for that. But I was watching some national weather stuff, and it looks like the heat bubble is moving more to the southwest. So they were talking about I think it was Utah getting really hot this next week, and a little more of a cooling trend on the east side of the country. So
woohoo!
Feel sorry for those of you out there.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll calm down into fall. I hope we all get a nice long fall.
Yeah, well, as you guys know, I don't know if you can read it or not. We're 45 days until freedom. My last paperwork was completed today. It's in an envelope. It will be dropped in the postal carrier's box tomorrow at the post office, and that'll be that. So come October, I'll be full-time out here. I'm going to need all you guys to to help support me as much as you can by watching the content, sharing the content, all that good stuff, because I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to retirement because I've worked 25 years for this. But at the same time, I'm nervous. This is a big change. It's a big deal. I've never been completely self-employed my entire life, and I will be basically completely self-employed. So if I don't make the money, if I don't drive the work, it's going to make it hard on me. Yes, I have a retirement check coming in, but it is not enough to sustain my current situation after I pay for insurance. So, I'm going to be working for the insurance out here in the shop, basically, is what it boils down to. So yeah. So about another 45, actually it's 44, because October 1st, I will actually be retired. So it's 44, 45 days, we'll be moving into a new era. So, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like all those other YouTubers that go full time.
Well, the good news is I will be getting my check. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be what I normally make going to work because the insurance is like right now. My insurance at work, I've got great insurance at work, and it's like really affordable. So when I retire, the entire cost of that insurance is on me. So that's the only big change financially. The retirement check is comparable. It's not the same, but it's comparable to what I'm making working by the time they take everything out of it that they take out of it. But the insurance is just going to be the big. That's the big doozy. So, but with my customers that I have locally and some of the other things that I've got going on, it's doable. I've just got to stay motivated. We'll see how that goes. Well, I hope Greg gets his A1 to working because it's a really fun machine.
Yeah, it's I don't know if between Comcast or whoever can help you look at your router, but if you can get it connected to that, it should get pretty easy from there. I mean, as a short-term thing, just to get it set up and running, if you can hotspot your phone, maybe. I don't know if you've got that option, but then you'd have to run that. It wants to be connected to the internet to work. Unfortunately, it's stock setup. So, but hopefully, if you can look into the whole 2.4, trying to force your network into 2.4 to at least get it connected. Usually, after that, once it does that, it will reconnect. You can turn back on 5, or you may have to set up a separate channel, but on the same network. But hopefully you can get some help with your router on that. Maybe Comcast can get you an upgraded one too, if it doesn't have that feature. But
yeah, no doubt. Greg, I'm sure they would take me back. I've actually got another job offer already. That's a pretty sweet deal. But it would be working at a junior college campus because of the SRO legislation that state passed. I can actually go back. I can come out of retirement technically, but stay in. I can continue to draw my retirement check and make up to $59,000 a year as a school officer in a junior school and get that good insurance back on top of drawing my retirement check. So there's always that if things go south. But I'm hoping I don't have to do that. I feel like I can, generate enough. Like I said, I'm wanting to start doing more physical products locally, whether it's, tumblers, partner with my buddy Tim, doing some, having some, like basically subbing out some work for him or whatever. I feel like I've got enough, everything going. I feel like I got enough to make it work and hopefully work well enough that, I'm not having to be overly stingy. But we'll see. It's a little nerve-wracking when you've been so, like comfortable, I guess you could say, for so many years, and now here I am fixing to go mix everything up. So we'll see how it goes. Appreciate you, David Allen. Glad to have you, sir. That fellow's got a good name. That's all I know to tell you guys. He's got that good name. But anyway, that's about it, I guess. Unless there's somebody else got a comment or concern down there, we're gonna let it go. And y'all guys just keep your fingers crossed for Steve up there. Send a little prayer his way that he doesn't have to wake up in the morning and pick up pieces of his house out of the driveway.
No, I think we'll be okay. The thing now is worrying about flooding, but because we've had so much rain lately. But yeah, and make sure you go watch David's video he dropped just before the live.
Yeah,
help him get those views. And then if you haven't checked it out, put my back to school video on play while you go brush your teeth or something. Just
put it on repeat.
No, I appreciate everybody always checking out the videos and dropping comments and everything. That always really does help out with the whole YouTube. They like to see interaction and views and such. So that's a really awesome way to support us. And hopefully the videos are helpful and good content. I try to drop in tips and tricks in all mine. I did talk a little bit about the weld-on glue in that one with working with acrylic, and also a little bit of difference between blue diode and CO2 in there. So if you want to see some of that, check that out as well. But yeah, appreciate all that. More to come this week. Hopefully I'll be getting that Scope Fun iCube Ultra video out soon. Just got to work on that IR module and some things up for y'all.
Yeah, and I dropped a link to that other video if y'all want to go watch it, especially if you have the Lumos. It'd be really handy. And we do have some pretty interesting things coming in the future. Stay tuned. We will let you know when we can share more with you, because there's some innovative things coming out. There always is, leading up to the last quarter of the year, because everybody's trying to get those really cool things out on the shelves before Christmas time gets here. So hopefully we'll have some cool things to show you guys and share with you. But yeah, I just dropped a link to that video for the Lumos. So if it's something you're into, go check it out. But we'll see you guys next Sunday, if not before then.
See you, everyone.
Later.